The Vampire King. The Vampire King, Uriel, ruled his kingdom with an iron fist. He was feared by all, both human and vampire alike. He was centuries old and had seen much in his time. He had fought in wars, lost loved ones, and made many enemies. He was a powerful and ruthless leader, but he was also lonely. One night, Uriel was out hunting when he came across a young woman named Eve. She was different from any human he had ever met before. She was strong, independent, and fearless. She refused to cower in fear of him, and even challenged him to a duel. Uriel was intrigued by Eve. He had never met a human who could match his strength or his speed. He fought her for hours, and they were evenly matched. In the end, Uriel won, but he was impressed by Eve's courage. Uriel took Eve back to his castle, and she became his prisoner. He wanted to learn more about her, and he wanted to see if she could truly be his equal. Eve was determined to escape, but Uriel was too powerful. Over time, Uriel and Eve began to develop a bond. They talked for hours on end, and they began to understand each other. Uriel realized that Eve was not like other humans. She was not afraid of him, and she did not see him as a monster. She saw him as a man, with all the same flaws and strengths as any other man. Eve began to teach Uriel about the human world. She told him about her family, her friends, and her dreams. She showed him that there was more to life than just blood and power. Eve began to teach Uriel about the human world. She told him about her family, her friends, and her dreams. She showed him that there was more to life than just blood and power. Uriel began to change. He became less ruthless and more compassionate. He started to see that there was more to being a king than just ruling with an iron fist. He realized that he could be a better king and a better man if he had Eve by his side. One day, Eve escaped from the castle. Uriel was furious, but he also knew that she had to be free. He let her go, and he vowed to never let her go again. Eve and Uriel eventually reunited, and they lived happily ever after. Uriel became a better king, and he ruled with justice and compassion. Eve became his queen, and she helped him to bring peace to the kingdom. They had many children, and they raised them to be kind and compassionate. The Vampire King and the human woman lived a long and happy life together. They showed the world that it was possible for humans and vampires to live together in peace. They were a symbol of hope for a better future. Eve and Uriel were reunited a few months after she escaped from the castle. She had been on the run, but she eventually found her way back to him. Uriel was overjoyed to see her, and he promised that he would never let her go again. Eve and Uriel married a few months later, and they ruled the kingdom together. Uriel was a better king than he had ever been before. He was more compassionate and just, and he ruled with the consent of his people. Eve was a wise and kind queen, and she helped Uriel to make the kingdom a better place for everyone. The kingdom prospered under the rule of Uriel and Eve. Humans and vampires lived together in peace, and there was no more fear or hatred. Uriel and Eve were loved and respected by their people, and they were a symbol of hope for a better future. One day, a new threat emerged to the kingdom. A powerful vampire named Lucifer had come to power, and he was determined to conquer the world. He had a large army of vampires, and he was ruthless in his quest for power. Uriel and Eve knew that they had to stop Lucifer, or he would destroy everything they had built. They gathered their own army of vampires and humans, and they prepared for battle. The two armies met in a bloody battle that lasted for days. In the end, Uriel and Eve were victorious, and Lucifer was defeated. The kingdom was saved, and Uriel and Eve were hailed as heroes. Uriel and Eve ruled the kingdom for many years, and they brought peace and prosperity to their people. They were a symbol of hope for the future, and they showed the world that humans and vampires could live together in peace. One day, Uriel and Eve passed away peacefully in their sleep. They were buried in the royal cemetery, and their people mourned their loss. However, they knew that Uriel and Eve would never be forgotten. They would always be remembered as the vampire king and the human woman who brought peace to the kingdom.